This is Jamie Drummond for Good Food Revolution. We are joined today by Monsieur Frédéric Brouca, who is joining us from his cave in Faugères, Languedoc. How are you today, sir?
I'm very good, very good. Good to see you.
Yeah, it's been 3 years since we shared some wine at Paris in Toronto, but lovely to see you on your home turf. What's going on in your world right now?
So right now, I did a tour of my vineyards today.
Okay.
To see where we set in terms of ripeness to be ready for harvest. So it's going to be, how you say that, has not been such a warm vintage so far. I would say it's going to be more like 2013 in terms of picking, so like early mid-September, because the last 3 years was more like mid-August for me.
And how is your mildew pressure this year? I know you had some problems with mildew for the first time in 2018, but how is it for 2021?
So it's under control, but we had some pressure. I said, yeah, since 2018, we had some mildew in Faugères. And mildew means copper, so we don't want to use too much copper because it can be it can harm the ground. And but it's under control, so we are going to have grapes to pick up.
Excellent, excellent.
That's great news.
You were saying that powdery mildew originates in North America. I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, and I think it's, I did a bit of reading not so long ago, because a lot of people are saying or says that you have like 3 types of powdery mildew. So like some researcher looked around, and actually there is only 1 type of powdery mildew in France. And I think powdery mildew, it comes from America, I'm sure of that. And I think it came at the time we started to use American rootstock.
Yeah.
After the phylloxera.
That would make sense. That would make sense. So yeah. Today we're going to go through some of the wines that you're going to be offering through Nicholas Pearce private order offering. So what do we have there? Let's start off with your, I guess that's the Champentus Blanc.
That's the Champentus Blanc. Correct. It's the 2019 vintage. So little switch. 18 was my first vintage to make a white. It's in Vin de France because I sourced the grapes just outside the Faugères appellation. And before was 100% Roussanne. And in 2 years ago, I decided to do a blend. And with some Grenache Blanc too, as I like Grenache, generally speaking. So now it's under the Champentus like label too.
And why did you choose to add Grenache Blanc? What do you believe that brings to the wine?
I would say my Roussanne has been a bit more opulent, bigger, and I wanted to have some more freshness into the wine, and wanted to have some Grenache Blanc or Grenache Gris, and I was able to find all vines Grenache Blanc.
Now, when you're talking about old vines, how old is old vines?
How old is old? 25, 30 years old.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I'm actually quite envious of you. That's I could handle some of that right now, but I don't have any, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's about aperitif time in France. Yeah, exactly. It's 5:30 right now. So I have a spittoon. I'm not sure I'm going to use the spittoon for all the tasting tonight. Yeah.
So how does this wine perform on the nose and in the palate? On the palate.
I was not able to go to the beach today, so I am using my little bucket for the tasting.
Do you take that bucket to all the big professional tastings?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah. It's nice.
Yes. You know, I am a trained sommelier from Canada, so I like to do things a bit differently. So wines was vinified in, I would say 80% stainless, and the rest in neutral woods, as they like to do in Burgundy. I like the anise nuts and the texture of the white wine that is vinified into oak. But it's limited. I like the tension, the freshness of the stainless, and then I do a blend of the stainless plus my barrels. Yeah, they're like right there actually. They're empty right now.
You don't actually have that much wood in your cellars, do you?
Maybe 10% of my total production in terms of wood.
Right.
I have my big papa here, the
Big
food.
Papa, yeah.
Then I have like 4 barrels here. I have 6 barrels there. I use some amphora too.
Yeah.
In a different type of terracotta that is not porous. And I have like 6 more barrels at the back. But all my barrels come from a very special cooperage. Monsieur Minier. Okay. In Burgundy, it's a husband and wife team. They make like 300 barrels a year.
Is that a cooper you came across when you were working in Burgundy?
Yeah, I was put in contact with them, yeah, through a common friends in Burgundy, yeah. And it was difficult to get some barrels at the beginning, and now I have my allocation every year. Nice,
nice, nice. Now, I was looking at the next wine here, and you're making a wine without sulfur. So tell me about that, because I'm always a little bit cautious with wines that don't have any sulfur.
So yeah, let's go Côte de Glou. Oops, it's right there.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. So me too, I've been, I consider myself making natural wines, but I'm still using a bit of sulfur since the beginning. And because I don't like funkiness or like reduction into the wine. And 2018, yeah. It's mostly close of plan, and it's about half aged in neutral wood, half into stainless. I would say it reminds me of the 2013 vintage for Champentue. It's maybe a bit bigger, but my idea was to get the stability through the tannins and through some oak tannins too, to avoid funkiness into the wine.
Now this is from 100% schist, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Grenache, Syrah, Mourvèdre. Yeah. And this wine is filtered.
Okay, okay.
This one is filtered again to, at the beginning, I'm not going to say I was against filtration, but I like to have clean, stable wines. For white, I prefer to have a light filtration, not to have all the fishes into the wines. I find it's much more appealing. And for my reds with no sulfur or very minimum amount of sulfur, I find that it kind of stabilizes the wine, and it's just a mechanical thing, you know. It's not adding a product or a chemical into the wine like a filtration. It's those type of filter that I use are like a wood type plaque, and it's not an addition to the wine. Yeah, so right. It's an arbitration between.
I've always found your wines to have this amazing freshness to them, a freshness that isn't always apparent in all the wines of Faugères. How does that freshness translate to a wine without any sulfur?
Freshness for me, and yeah, I was with a friend, winemaker too, from Faugères, and just like we were sitting having some coffee. And when I arrived in Faugères 2013, like people were saying, who is this guy? You know, I was living in Singapore at the time, I was like kind of Canadian for them, but I still have only one passport from France. And I pick up grapes like before anyone else. And it's still the case. I had 2 consultant winemaker in 2013 and a local and a guy from Burgundy. And it was funny when I did a point with the 2 of them saying, okay, what are we going to do? And one guy was telling me, it's not ripe enough. Let's wait 2 more weeks. And the guy from Burgundy was telling me, it's too ripe, you know, it's too late.
Right.
And so I said, let's start picking the grapes. But no, it's like freshness is more acidity into the wine. So it's like you need to pick earlier. It's my main thing. Then the skins and the stems are not going to be fully ripe or as ripe as like winemakers, oenologists are used to have them. So we do less pumping over, we do less extraction. I don't do extraction. Maybe that's why there is no cold use during fermentation neither. It's like I bring my grapes at earlier stage compared to most of the winemakers. And then I do very fast fermentation with my native yeast, you know, just at the end of the fermentation, when the tanks are getting too warm and it's getting too hot for the native yeast to work, we cool down the yeast to help them to finish eating the sugar. Yeah.
And of course, that added acidity that you get from picking earlier would help stabilize a wine like this when you're not using any sulfur.
Mm-hmm. So without sulfur, you need, for me, tannins and acidity. And that's why it's a 2018, you know, the wine had to wait a little bit like to have like a softer integrated tannins. Yeah, it's a beautiful wine now.
I understand. Moving on to your 100% Cinsault. Cinsault, interesting grape. What does Cinsault mean to you? What should make for an exceptional Cinsault?
My love. So Cinsault, it's indigenous from Languedoc, from the southern part of France. Some people from Roussillon are going to say it's from Roussillon. Some people are saying it's from Héron, but it's a local grape, a noble grape. Cinsault has a funny story here. It was not regarded as a nice grape 30 years ago, you know, during the Parkerization of the world of wine. Because it's a more juicy type of Carignan type of grapes. And for me, the idea of making a Cinsault started in California because one known winery there, working a lot of with Petite Syrah, are making a single vineyard cuvée from Cinsault whole cluster. And I've always loved the wine. And when I purchased the winery, I had like all Massal selection, beautiful vineyard on a plateau with it's like almost 50 years old vines now. And I said, I have to do something with this wine. And I had the idea to make a whole cluster, 100% Cinsault single vineyard. Yeah, the nose, it's reminds me a bit of a old school Pinot Noir from Burgundy. It's riper, obviously. We are in the south. I also try to make Cinsault like with much lower alcohol. Like we find a lot of Cinsault at 10, 11% alcohol level. And for me, I find that I don't get like the southern accent of the Cinsault that I like. So it's like 13% alcohol. It's mostly whole cluster. And this year there is a 10% of the wine that is aged into oak from the Tronchet forest. I don't have it on the nose, but it adds a bit more structure and yeah, this wine could age a couple of years for sure.
And how is the structure of that wine? What kind of tannins are you getting from the stencil fruit? And it being whole cluster, of course.
Yeah, lots of fruits, floral. Has some muscles on the palate. The mid palate is well structured. Beautiful long finish, and it's fresh. It's yeah, it's fresh.
And you're getting a little bit of structure from that 10% of oak.
Exactly, and even from the whole cluster fermentation from the stems.
Yep.
I have a tiny bit of oak on the finish right now, but the wine was bottled yeah, mid-June, so like 2 months ago. It's going to integrate like within the next 2-3 months. Yeah.
And the next wine is a Pinot Noir. Now, some people would say that was sacrilege growing Pinot Noir down in the Languedoc, but with your background in Burgundy, you do a bang-up job of producing Pinot Noir. How would you describe your Languedoc Pinot Noir?
With a New Zealand accent, maybe.
Okay, there you
go. Obviously, I'm a fan of Pinot Noir from Burgundy and from Ontario and from many places, but I find to have a nice, well-structured Pinot Noir, you need to spend some money. The idea here was, so it's local, it's from Saint-Chinian, actually,
All right,
the
okay.
grape. So it's very close by, like 10 minutes drive, maybe. And it's 100% D-stem. But you get the Pinot Noir aromas, which I love. Bit more structure too, like it's a midway, I would say, between a New Zealand Pinot Noir and a Burgundy Pinot Noir in terms of strength of the aromas.
Now, I'll try and pin you down here. Where in New Zealand and where in Burgundy?
Because I love New Zealand.
No, where in New Zealand?
I had married a Canadian lady already, so no, because I love Pinot Noir from the south. I loved actually.
All right.
And I went there like 10 years ago to spend like a week, and yeah, I was fascinated by this region and the profile of the Pinot Noir. And often in New Zealand, I find that the Pinot Noir can be almost like too much sunshine. I don't know. And yeah, for me, it was to find the balance between earthiness and the Pinot Noir flavors. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Well, it's always exciting. I've tasted some excellent Pinot Noir from Languedoc, and it's not great that people associate with the region. How do you label that? Because it won't be under the Saint-Chinian appellation, right?
Yeah, no, it's Vin de France.
Okay.
And it's under the foulage Gaulois.
Okay.
So foulage Gaulois, I did my first orange wine with Viognier. And some of the wine, not 100%, to be honest, goes through amphora too.
Okay.
And because sorry, it's my iPhone, my Apple Watch.
That's okay.
To me. And it's foulage Gaulois for the brand because I purchased the grapes. Yeah. So that's why.
Is that an amphorae on the label there?
Pardon me?
That's the amphorae on the label, right?
Exactly.
Right, yeah. Right. Nice.
And it's the same artist too, the rooster. It's a sculpture that I have at the winery too. That is the same artist that made my label too.
Very
so, you know, it's like kind of same idea, same pedigree.
Now, after going through these 4 wines, we have something being offered that is very interesting, a vermouth.
Yeah, exactly. So I have bottle here and I have, let me. Go directly to the tank.
Yeah, nice.
So vermouth, the idea, it's there is a strong Canadian connection there because I have Eric that I call Petit Frère, my little brother. He came the first time in 2015 for harvest. And since then, every year he comes to make wine with me. Eric is from Ottawa, was a sommelier at Fauna. He's a younger man than me into cocktail and mixology. And in 2015 started to tell me, how, you know, it would be a neat idea to do a vermouth. And I said, no, Eric, I don't make vermouth in my winery. And 16, he had the idea again. And 17, finally, I said, maybe it's a good idea. Let's try. So we forage herbs, flowers, a bit everything. The idea of the vermouth, it's made the same way as we would make a Mori of Banyuls. We do a mutage. And some of the flowers infuse into the wine for 3 to 6 months. It depends every year for the aromatic. And then we macerate, again, local oranges into spirits. And again, the spirit that we use are made from my wine at a local distillery that they use like a old school copper type of, I don't remember the name in English, to make the spirit. Yeah, so everything is local, yeah.
And what kind of alcohol does it come in at? What level are you at there?
But the idea, just enough alcohol to be able to stop the fermentation and to kill our native yeast. So it's 16.5, 17%.
Okay. And that will be arriving in 750 mils?
Correct. Correct. It's considered as a dry vermouth. Has like 30 grams sugar, or like natural sugar from the grapes. It's yeah, I would say it's almost like an aromatized Mori or Banyuls.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Like a vintage type. Lovely with like chocolate, or just me. I love aperitif with a zest of orange or like a mint leaf.
My mouth is watering right now, not only for wine, but
start the night. It's a bit too early for you.
I don't know. My wife is away, so
if the wife is away, everything is allowed then.
So it would be remiss of me not to ask you how you're surviving in this crazy world, what with the pandemic and the like. How did things impact you down in Faugères?
Oof, it's I used to travel a lot. I don't travel. What I love is I spend a lot of time with my family and my young kids. Then no traveling. It's a bit sad too at the same time. But no, what has been rough for me is to see all my friends from the restaurant business.
Of course.
I had to close and struggle and open and close, and yeah, it's a sad part, because going out, you know, to museum and restaurant, it's just like, it's life, you know. We need that. Then it's a chance to live in the middle of the vines. We don't have too much COVID, a bit more right now with the tourists going to the sea, but it's unfortunate to be in France right now. Yeah.
And what's going on with regards to mask mandates and lockdown and all of that sort of stuff in your area?
Oof, yeah, we had lockdown until late May, early June.
Okay.
We were not able to go out at night. Yeah, it was excessive, but I would say, you know, again, I understand the two culture. Being married with a Canadian lady, and I've spent lots of time in my life too in Canada. It's the Latin world, you know, with the rules we are not very good. So maybe government have to be a bit more strict. Yeah, yeah. But yes, it's a different world right now. Yeah, looking forward to have this pandemic over and to have like the outgoing life again.
I hear you. I hear you. Well, I look forward to seeing you in Toronto at some point in the future. Once travel opens up, we can share a few glasses of wine and some vermouth. Probably that would be nice. Thank you very much for joining us at Good Food Revolution today, and we'll catch up with you again sometime in the future.
Lovely. My pleasure, Jamie. Thanks for your time. Bye.